World of YouTube, Archie back again. Horror stories, lyrics, and poems. I have another dream-inspired horror story that I've written. This is called Horror in the Funhouse. This is got to do mainly of a woman and a man that meet. And of course the woman goes off a rocker and does very extremely bad things. I don't know, this might be in my personal demons of why I wrote this, due to the fact of some of my relationships I had, and pretty much a nightmare of what would happen if this happened. But other than that, it's just a love story that goes wrong. And hope you enjoy, and here we go. 2 more months and my dream will be true. Mickey stood in front of his new funhouse, 5 years in the making. Just like when he was a kid going to the amusement park, the first place he would run to was the funhouse. But Mickey wanted his to be better, and he knew it would be. This place had everything, and in 2 months it would be open. Mickey invested all he had in this place, taking out a big loan also for this idea too. And he couldn't wait. It looked like a big castle. The door was a big wooden solid door. It had big metal skull head knockers on it. As you would walk in, it would be slightly dark. You would walk over a bridge. It would wobble back and forth over a pool-like water hole. A waterfall with a rock-like wall would tower over you, looking like a mountain view. And the bridge would make you feel like you would fall in. Music would start, kind of weird tune. Then looking, dim lights glowed off the water. Lights would glow out of the water. Walking on it would start to get dark. Then a door would automatically open. Fluorescent black lights glowed. You began to walk on an uneven floor. The walk would start to zigzag. Then the last straightaway, the floor would be straight. And you would have to guide your way by touching the walls, because it got black. Then another automatic door would open unexpectedly. Then a green fluorescent light beamed. As soon as you would walk forward, and the floor turned to gel. The tunnel looked like a horseshoe shape, but it looked like something out of a space movie. The weirdness of walking on the floor alone would freak you out, but not as freaky as when mechanically run aliens would push their upper bodies through the gel-like walls and ceilings and stare down at you as their imprints disappeared and as you finished walking by. At the end of the tunnel, an alien would push through and it would look like he was showing you the door, then waved and disappeared. Once again, an automatic door opened. You would step in, total darkness. A sign said before you walk in to wait. Once the door behind you closed, a few seconds went by, another door opened to a big fish tank. Another horseshoe tunnel would lead you through mechanical sharks and fish, and you'd see in the ocean. But the fish had a weird look to them, like when you look into the mirrors that make you look funny. When you got through that and walked through the door, you'd enter a long hallway in front of you. A big, huge light that hung over when you would look up would blink slowly like a strobe light. It would come on for a few seconds, of course shut off. It would do that all through the maze that people would be walking through. The maze was about 4 minutes long. If you were to do it right, 5 minutes. If you goofed a little, when you go through it, was over. At the end, the door would open into another maze. This was a maze of mirrors and glass. If it wasn't as long as the last one, but goofing up would make up the time. When you finished and go through the door, a big tall glass tower where you could see the parking lot from it. It looked like almost the playland that you would see at McDonald's, with tubes and nets and ladders to climb to the top. Then when you get to the top, there was 2 slides. 2 people were able to race to the bottom. When you got to the bottom, it would be black again, and the door would open. The strobe light would turn on, and you would zigzag another walkway. And it was like walking down long hallways. The lights were blinking, 6 lights on each side of each hallway. One would blink fast, the next slow. At the end of the door would open. A recording of laughing would play till you reached the end. Also a smaller version of the light that would blink on and off finished the fun house. The last door would open, a person would greet you and lead you down another hall, and you will walk through a threshold to a 3-floor arcade games snack bar out in the back, which was some go-karts. It was the dream Mickey told his friends when he was younger 1,000 times. An imagination gone wild and now come true. Mickey stood there staring at his dream. He couldn't believe his own eyes, but there was something missing, and he knew it. Something he dreamed about and didn't have. Mickey was 34 years old and no family. He spent half his life building his dream, and then time was running short. So finally his business opened, and the business was good. People flocked to come see the new fun house, and people loved it. His profit and he put into this deal was all paid off, and his half started, and his life started to really show. Sorry, some of this stuff I got mixed up and putting words over here, and so sometimes if I read a story and I'm messed up, I'm looking at these words with lines going down, and similar to this, I'll show you. You get a story going, you gotta write here, and you gotta forget to put something in, so if I mess something up, that's what I'm doing. And here we go. A year went by. Mickey started to get finally financially fit. He started to go out and date. Women were hard to find these days, though, and Mickey knew it, of what he wanted. It was almost a half a year, and Mickey almost gave up on dating until one day a woman walked by him in a mall. She looked at him as she walked by, as she walked by, and smiled. Mickey smiled back, but kept walking. Mickey went to the food court in the mall and went to grab something to eat. As he sat down to eat, the same woman came up to him, sat down, and said, "I'm sorry to bother you, but are you alone?" Mickey said, "Yes, I am." She shied away and smiled. "I was just wondering if we could go out Friday." Just as she said that, Mickey had a piece of pizza in his mouth and almost choked. She asked if he was all right. He took a drink and soda and said, "Are you serious?" And then she asked if he thought she was joking. He said, "No. I just never had a woman come up to me and ask me out." "Oh," she smiled and laughed, saying she was sorry. And Mickey was a good-looking guy. He was cut clean, kind of a gym buff, just building his dream. Took up a lot of his time. In the relationships back then, the women in his life didn't like the time he spent on this so-called dream. It just cut him short. But now he would laugh at them the next time they would try and get back with him, or even try and see him. This girl that came to him didn't even know about his riches. His good looks got her attention, and he found that she was 4 years younger than him. Took her to the dinner. What? 4 years? Took him to dinner on Friday. Things looked good, and everything about her was perfect. She fell for him the first smile she gave. About 5 months went by, and things were good. Then all of a sudden it happened. Mickey moved the girl in. Her name was Felicity. Mickey wanted to try her out before he made some serious moves, but it turned out a bit crazy. Mickey came home late one night. Just a moment. So Mickey came home late one night, hanging with a few of his buddies, celebrating his new business. From grade school, they got a job from Mickey to work in the fun house, and they were celebrating a little on that too. The way it turned out, coming through the door, it was about 3 a.m. Felicity screamed at the top of her lungs, "Where the fuck have you been? I've been worried about you." And he replied, just went out with the boys from work. She screamed, "Son of a bitch. I've been up all this time, fucking asshole." Mickey went to hug her and try to calm her down. She shoved him back and screamed, "Don't touch me, asshole," and stormed off the bed. He went in the kitchen to get a drink. He had four before. Oh, shit. Oh. Then he went up to bed, and sorry, one of them things there. When he got there, she was asleep, or was she? He got in the bed and stared at the clock, 5 a.m., and finally he fell asleep. At noon the next day, he woke up to Felicity holding him, and when he opened his eyes, she smiled at him. That smile when they first met. She started kissing him, and soon were making love. Mickey was still in shock, though, of the early morning, but it seems she let it go and never mentioned it again. So he let it go. They got heavy. Mickey began to squeeze her all over. Then they both gave a big explosion to each other. Felicity moaned loud as she slammed herself on Mickey. And then finally she yelled, "Yes, yes, yes," and it was over. Mickey lied there mesmerized of just what happened. He never knew Felicity to be this way. He seemed confused. And all the times making love was great. But after early this morning and now this was kind of freaky. After a week, things seemed to be back to normal, and Mickey even started to forget about the time she blew up at him. Then it happened again. This time he came home late because of some paperwork that was behind. He walked through the door to dodge a glass that flung by his head. Felicity started again with the screaming. He asked what was the matter. She smacked him in the face. She stormed up the stairs, knocking chairs, breaking anything in her way. He stood there with horror in his eyes. He slept on the couch that night, and when morning came, he woke up to a rude awakening. She slapped Mickey in the head and began to scream. "What? I'm not good enough to sleep with? Have you been with another woman?" Mickey yelled back, "No, I was doing paperwork last night." And then she cut in, "Liar." She began to rip off his boxers and smell his crotch. She threw his boxers at him and walked back upstairs. She sat on the bed, breathing heavy as Mickey walked in. She stared at him with evil eyes. She told him to get in bed and make love to her, so he did. She was wild with him, biting, pinching. Mickey was once again stunned. She finished with a screaming finish, screaming harder, push harder, and finally she yelled yes. She pushed Mickey off and sat looking at him with all this anger that was going on. She told Mickey she loved him in a growling way. Mickey went to work and started to talk to his buddies about Felicity's behavior. They just looked at him and said, "You need to dump her." Mickey just looked around, shaking his head, saying to himself, "Where am I going to find a normal woman?" Mickey got home on time that night to see what kind of mood Felicity was in. When he got home, she wasn't there. He called her name a couple of times. There was no answer. He went upstairs to get ready for bed. Just as he got in to lay down, the front door slammed. Then his name was screamed across the house. He thought to himself, now what the fuck is wrong? She stormed in the bedroom, screaming, "Where have you been? Here I just got home at 10 and just got in bed." She was taking off her clothes and yelling at the same time, saying, "I went to the fun house looking for you. Then I drove around. What the fuck?" Mickey shook his head and laid down. Felicity got into bed and latched herself to him, hugging him, then finally fell asleep like that. The next morning, Mickey didn't know what to do with this woman. Was she possessed with him? It was 10 months into the relationship, and it was getting worse. She didn't want him out of her sight. Mickey was kind of scared of her. He didn't know what she was capable of. Then the day came. Mickey was fed up with her and was calling it off. As soon as he got home, he stormed upstairs to tell her to leave. As he pushed the bedroom door open, there she was crying on the bed. She looked up at him with big blue eyes. Tears ran down her face. When she spoke, her words were choked up. "I can't get pregnant." And she burst out with more cries. Mickey was feeling her pain and felt his own pain, and he knew that he had enough of her abuse. So he let the kick out be postponed for a couple weeks. Felicity's attitude after that day was not as bad as before, but it showed. Finally, after 5 weeks, Mickey broke the news. Felicity I think we should split up for a while. When Felicity heard this, her eyes bulged out of her head. What the fuck, she screamed. Is it because I can't have your fucking baby? Isn't it? No, he yelled back. For the past 4 months you've been fucking abusing me, yelling, throwing stuff, stalking me at work, following, when you know damn well. Lost my place, hold on. I ain't doing nothing. All what he said, she didn't listen. She came back with the same thing. 'Cause I can't have your fucking baby. Mickey yelled back, see, you don't hear a goddamn word I said. I heard you. You don't want me. What about the other stuff I said? Mickey repeated. What other stuff? Felicity yelled. Mickey stood stunned, staring at her like she had two heads arguing with him. Finally he said calmly, you need to go, or I'll call the cops. Felicity stood there with daggers in her eyes. The last thing she said before she left was, you will regret you ever meeting me. Mickey shook his head and turned away. A few days went by before her move, and she was not happy. She almost hesitated to move in the thing she was doing, crazy things, staring at the walls, talking to herself, punching her head. Mickey was now freaking. He hoped she got out fast. His hand was on the numbers, 911, the fingers, sorry. And as she stormed stuff out after she packed the last of her stuff, Mickey thought he heard her say something under her breath. He caught the last of it. Nobody can. She slammed the front door on the way out, threw a rock through the front window and screamed, cocksucker. The following months were hard. She kept calling, leaving messages on his machine, swearing her head off, calling him names. Other times she would apologize and say, I need you, Mickey. Some nights he saw her drive by or even park and watch the house. He changed the locks, but not the phone number. He didn't want her to start banging on the door, and this kept it like that. She stayed away from the fun house because, of course, the public was there and she knew she would go to jail for harassing. Then Mickey moved on and started dating again. He told some girls about Felicity and they turned him down because they didn't want that running their relationship with him. Then one day he found her, a woman that was going to stay with him and not torture him like Felicity did. She was a hard working woman. Whoops. And not put up, like Felicity did, and not put up with Felicity. She was not afraid of Felicity. She was a hard-working woman who loved kids, and the thought of marriage was on her mind. And like Mickey was looking for the right one to come by, they hit it off. A year passed, and besides the games of Felicity, they pushed through it. They got married and had a baby. Then Felicity stopped. It was like she disappeared off the face of the earth. A year had passed, another year, and Diane and Mickey were finally happy. The funhouse was booming, and Mickey finally started his family. One night, Mickey was closing up the funhouse and went to get the front door and lock it up. When he looked out the door, he saw a car up the road. Not paying any attention to it, he locked the door. Then all of a sudden he heard the wheels of the car squealing. He turned quick and the car was heading for him. He unlocked the door and ran in. He hit the main power switch to the lights to start. Then the maze, he started all his crazy mazes and places to go. Part of the fun house, and the first door opened, and he ran through, almost getting hit by the car that smashed through the front door. He ran over the bridge, almost falling off it. Then he heard a voice that was deep with anger and evil mixed. He recognized it a mile away, Felicity. He got through the first door, then uneven floor made it hard for him to run. He heard the door open, and there she stood staring at him and had a gun in her hand. She started to speak in a low-toned voice, one he never imagined her to speak. And she said, "If I can't have you," Mickey finished the sentence, "then nobody can." "That's right, you motherfucker." Bang, she shot. The gun went off. Her face was pure death. She looked like a witch. Mickey ran and couldn't get her face out of his mind. Slipping and almost falling on his face, reading his own signs of "do not run" in big letters. Finally he got to the straightaway. He heard Felicity's voice in the background getting close and screaming his name. Once again, reading his sign, "Don't run." Pitch black hall. He walked through, sliding his hands down the black tunnel. Then he turned back to the door with the little bit of light shine. Then she stood in the light, blocking it. Then she said, "Where are you, Mickey? I love you. I need you back." He walked slowly backward, keeping an eye on her. Then she started to lift her gun. Mickey dropped to the floor. She shot one time, then waited. Mickey was crawling. She began to walk slowly toward him. Finally, he reached the door. It slid open. He began to run. She screamed his name. She fired again. The door shut but didn't stop the bullet. He fell to the gel floor, then got up and ran to the door. The next door, it slid open. He just went through the next door. Felicity stepped in, shot, but fell because went too fast on the gel that she didn't know of. And she fell. The bullet went up, causing the gel to leak. And she screamed, "You son of a bitch." Felicity looked up and saw the aliens pushing out of the walls. She began to laugh. "Very funny, Mickey." Then she screamed, "Evil. Funny, you fucking cocksucker." Mickey finally went through the door, waiting for it to open, and heard the scream. It stood all hairs on the back of his neck. He ran through as fast as he could. The door opened for him. Then she came through the other door. She didn't shoot this time because she noticed the water all around her. She hesitated to go through and looked at her. Her face was stone cold death. She had lost a lot of weight, even though she wasn't fat. She weighed about 110 pounds now. She looked like 90 pounds. Even less. She walked forward toward Mickey and said, "Don't make me chase you anymore. I want to die with you in my arms." Mickey turned and went to the next part of his funhouse, the strobe light maze. As he started it, he glanced back and seen her face looking at him with evil, and the light blinking on and off had her more scarier than Megan in The Exorcist. Every corner he took, there she was coming around the neck, saying his name in a low voice. The light would blink on and off, and all he could see was her face. He finally made it to the maze of glass and mirrors. He got halfway through it till she realized where she was and started shooting. And started to shoot and then singing a song she made on her own. "The first time I saw you, I fell madly in love." Bang! The glass shattered. Mickey tried to run faster without banging into the dead ends. She continued, "I thought I had the man of my dreams." Bang! She shot again. "Now you had left me 'cause I couldn't have your baby." Bang! Then she finished with a demonic scream. "Now I'm going to kill you 'cause I'm your fucking lady." Bang! Mickey almost got hit on the last shot. He busted through the automatic door 'cause he wasn't waiting for it. He climbed the tubes and ladders and got to the slides. Bang! The shot came right in his shoulder. She sang his name. "Mickey, I love you." Mickey forced his way in the slide and went for his ride. She could not break the glass because it was 10 inches thick like the glass they use in submarines. He was lucky to divide the glass between the slides and the tubes part, or he would have been shot 6 times as she shot at the glass and nothing happened. He saw the reaction on her face looking through the holes on the side of the slide, and he saw a face he couldn't even recognize. It was pale white, like a ghost, and she looked dead. She started to climb, causing, as he went up. Mickey got out and began to run through the zigzags. Pain shot through his arm. Then he heard her laughing as she came down the slide. "Where are you, Mickey, you fucking prick?" He heard her reload her gun. He was thinking as she did it, how the fuck she learned how to do that. But all that time alone, he said to himself, "Oh fuck, no wonder I did not hear from her." He finally reached the arcade room, running to the door to get out. He unlocked it, ran out. Bang! She shot him in the leg. He fell rolling to the ground, screaming. He started to think, "I should have got her for stalking me." He kind of laughed inside. His wife and kid came to sight. He thought of that, and the pain in his body made him start to cry. He looked at his castle, his dream, going to crumble before his eyes. Then Felicity stood over him, the gun pointed towards his head. He felt the blood start to soak his clothes. He closed his eyes, then he heard her voice, soft, sweet, innocent, "I love you, Mickey." Bang! Witness came to sight. Then from of a rectangle started to show. The witness stayed in the center of the rectangle. a rectangle, and blackness then started to surround, get out, surround the rectangle. The rectangle started to rise and get smaller. Then circles started to appear around the edges. Go away. Of the rectangle was fuzzy sight, almost like heads looking into a grave at the coffin getting lowered into the ground. Mickey opened his eyes. Blackness surrounded him. He sat up and looked around. He was in his bedroom. He looked at his alarm clock. It was 4:30 a.m. He looked on the other side of his bed. No one laid there. Then he heard a noise. He looked at the bedroom door. He saw a shadow. Flashes of Felicity ran madly through his head. The door opened. Terror was in his eyes. Diane came through the door. Mickey sighed with a relief. She had a glass of water and a couple of pills. She said right away, "It's all right, honey. It was nothing more than a nightmare. It's over, baby, it's over." Mickey started to remember from what he was told. He passed out from loss of blood. Felicity thought he was dead. Someone driving by saw the car in the front of the fun house smash through the front door, and Felicity with a gun. The guy called the cops. Felicity was standing over Mickey, then bang, she shot herself. Mickey took the pills and lied with his wife and held her and stared out the window of the dead of night, wondering if he will ever get over the traumatizing relationship with Felicity. The end. So pretty much, yeah, he shot him. She shot herself, was trying to kill him with her. No one have her, nobody can. One of them crazy relationships. But other than that, YouTube, this is Archie. My kid's in here now bugging me. Hope you enjoyed that. Sorry for the mess ups. Yeah, like I said, all the zigzags and lines I got to do to forget these sentences I had to put in, and putting in words I forgot, and yeah, messing up. Hopefully it comes out all right. Other than that, YouTube, I'll see you on the next video. Out.